Hey everyone. So I have a feeling that these reels today are really going to touch deeply in a lot of you because of the comments that I continue to get in my Messenger and in my Facebook. They're all a common theme. And the common theme is, I remember this. This resonates with me. Why would I know this information? Why do I feel like this is true, but I don't have any proof? Right? Because we all think that proof is the only thing that proves that anything is true, right? If we can't see it, it can't be real, which is one of the biggest lies we were ever told. So there's so many people that are coming in overwhelmingly, really, who say, Kimberly, everything you're saying, everything you've shared in your reels, I either know, I've always known, I teach this as well, they always knew. But there are some people that just aren't sure why they know. Now, in order to really understand what I mean, I need to take us back a little bit to a lot of the dogmas and a lot of the lies that we were told. One of the biggest goals, right, with these races right now on this planet, and we've talked about this before, is to separate and to confuse the human being from connecting to source or to God, whatever you want to call the creator. And so they've done that in so many ways. I don't want to, really tap and pay a lot of attention to that. But if you just look at religion, right, they always start off first with you having to beg, having to feel guilty, having to feel like you need to be punished. You're a sinner, that you are here and source or God is somewhere outside of yourself. So there's always a gap there where you feel a void. That you're not one, you're separate, and that you better be good or you won't deserve the respect or attention from this so-called God. So right off the bat, just in that example, we're separated from something that is not separated from us. Now, some people might have a hard time with some of the things I share on these reels, some in terms of us saying, or what I've shared about us having what's called blank slate technology. There is way more advanced technology around that most people can wrap their heads around. But when it all really took place, it's happened many different times over our history. But when the Tower of Babel took place, and a lot of people have their own perception of what they've been told in the Bible, but this is where they scrambled languages on purpose. They scrambled languages so that we couldn't communicate. We couldn't get along with everyone. We couldn't tell the truth of what we know inside, not what we know from being told by people outside of us, what we know inside, our essence. So, and we also had some kind of technology that took place where it literally unplugged certain parts of our DNA, our junk, which caused us to have memory loss, amnesia. So, you got to start to question, like, how come we don't remember anything at all? Like, we've been here more than once. So they've removed the evidence as much as they can around the world. They've completely removed our memories of our past and our ancient history. Everything that was given to us from our ancestors in the ancient past disappeared, taken from books, rewritten. You got to start to question, why don't you want us to know our ancient past? Why don't you want us to know our truth about ourselves? To me, if you haven't figured this out already, it's because we are more powerful than what they have led us to believe. When we are being made to believe that we're inferior, and they go to great lengths to make sure that we go hundreds of years believing this narrative, this dogma, this lie, then that should tell all of you how powerful you are. And this is proof that they know that we're powerful, way more than they are. They're very much inferior to who we are. So because they control all information, every single ounce of information that is available to human beings, doesn't matter what source it comes through, it's all been manipulated and controlled. There's not one bit of information that normally comes to human beings that is not outside of their narrative, unless you literally seek. And that's why you hear seek and you shall find. The information that I'm sharing with you is stuff not only have I researched, but it's stuff that I also know. And I trust myself and I believe that there's more information that I may remember than what we've been given. Now think about that. You all have cellular memories in your DNA. And you're only given a small little tiny piece of information that isn't even true. So this is why when you say, I don't know why this resonates with me, and I always knew what they teach us in school or in the churches was wrong. Well, this is why. Your intuition in your body knows. Does anyone ever question why they have these thoughts go through their head, these thoughts that is outside the narrative, to give you different ideas, to give you inspiration, to get you to do something outside of what people call the box? There is a connection that all of us have to God or source, which they had they have not been able to remove that connection just yet, but they're trying. So when there's a belief system, though, that for us to connect to our creator is separate from us. We need to go somewhere. We need to somehow behave a certain way. We need to be, worthy to be able to have its attention. Like, what you believe is what you create. That's what manifestation is. And when you hijack someone's belief system, they'll believe whatever you tell them. That's what they'll manifest. So what people have to understand is no matter what they've done and what manipulation they've done, you are all connected to God. And this is what your intuition is. This is what your gut feelings are. The goal of these races is to completely remove any idea, any belief system, and any connection to anything outside of what they want you to be a part of as an AI hive. They're a bunch of gods, creator gods themselves. They want you to believe that they're better than you. They're taking every human being away from the one truth, the God that created everything, who you and I are connected to. And these races are no longer connected to them. So they want us to be like them, and they hate the idea that we're connected to a life force energy, to our creator. So they've done a lot of manipulation and brainwashing to get us to believe everything's outside of us. But you can't take away a connection that's organic, that is part of the connection to source, pure divine energy. So this is where you have always got the knowingness. You've had ideas in your minds. This is why this information that I'm sharing and probably other people you're watching is sharing resonates within your heart. Now they've taken us away from the heart chakra, 4D astral, right? They have cut us off, like I've shared in many reels. Most of us are operating under the 3D fence. What is that? 3D, 2D, and 1D. That's it. That's all there is apparently out there. That's all. So you have to understand chakras, DNA strands, and you have to understand connections. So you've got your heart chakra. Your heart is actually closed down. They have done that on purpose. This is why you see so many human beings be not only cruel to themselves, but they're extremely cruel to other people, whether they know them or not. They are not operating from an open heart. They're operating from a heart chakra that's shut right down. So when you think about ascension, these people will never ascend because you got to be able to operate in 4, 5, and 6 even to get into New Earth, even to move up in scale. And they're all trapped under the 3D frequency fence. So the heart chakra needs to be open with everybody. So why do you know all what you know? Why do things resonate with you when you have no proof? Why do you feel like ever since you were young, you always knew this? Well, this is because some of you remember from your past, your cellular memory. If you don't remember, your body does. And this is why your body will give you information. It will share with you that you know something because you'll feel it inside. You'll just know. There's that thing called knowingness. And you have no proof, you have no evidence, but you can swear up and down that you just absolutely know you've been here before, or you know it as fact because it's in your cellular memory. So this is for all of you who have been, thinking that you're crazy. I get that all the time. People are like, you know what? I've been thinking I'm crazy my whole life. I've been judging my own self because I don't fit in. Well, you know what? The ones who do remember, who aren't fast asleep, you won't fit in because you're not part of this narrative. It's fake and it's been made up. It's not normal. So just like anything that you might be able to compare to that you knew was fake, something that just wasn't the real version of something, you can tell it's not as good. Well, this is how the body knows, like when we're being bombarded through school systems, through media, through our doctors, through everything, how things are. When our body is screaming, no, it's not, because our body knows the truth, and this is absolutely opposite of what's truth. So this is why listening to your intuition and trusting yourself is so important. But that happens when you open up your heart chakra, because you can not only be negative to someone else, but most human beings are very hard on themselves. Their self-love is very much down here. And so you have to open up your heart and start to trust and believe in you. So when you hear these inner thoughts, when you get these little nudges, you have to start to understand that yes, they're going to be outside of what you're used to doing. And that's the way to get away from the prison planet. Why do you think there's such a push for monitoring us? Not only monitoring what we do, every move we make, but they're trying to get to the point where they can hook us completely up and know every thought we think. Does that not make any of you start to question what business is it of anyone else to know our own thoughts? There's people who work in the WEF who've literally said that they will get to know us and know us better than we know ourselves. That is absolutely crazy. Where's the autonomy in that? Why would anything want to know what you are thinking? Want to know how you regulate your breath? Want to know the thoughts that move to and through you and what your intentions are? Why would that matter? Because when you're tapped into source, you're going to be getting information is not part of their narrative, and they want to stop you from receiving that information and implant their thoughts in your head instead. So to start to know thyself and start to understand yourself is to, like you've heard many other times, you have to unplug what you've learned and allow what the truth is to move to and through you. So this is where that is going to take an effort on a lot of people's part. You've got to start to trust in what the invisible. You got to trust in what you can't see. And that challenges a lot of people because of the programming. And to program us to believe that the only thing that is truth is what our physical eyes can see. I hope a lot of you who are watching this can see how small-minded that is, how limited that is, and it's so untrue. The most important and the most powerful things are invisible first. And then we bring them into manifestation, into 3D. So this is where we have to start to understand the real truth about who we are. And it doesn't reside out there. It resides within your heart and within your soul, within you. You were never crazy. You never needed probably to be on medication because you couldn't sit still. Just because you didn't fit in, which is clearly a massive trait of indigos and starseeds. But the angelic human, anybody who wakes up to this narrative and realizes there's something off in your body, it just screams, and there's a knowingness that you know that what you're being told doesn't fit in you. It doesn't fit. It feels off. And almost all of you who are watching me have all shared and said that this has been your experience. So this is maybe more clarity for you to understand that you have not been wrong. This is where we doubted ourselves and trusted them, trusted the people that were controlling every single piece of information that came into our 5 senses. I hope all of you are realizing that it's time you shut down those 5 senses and stop listening to their bullshit. It's time for you to trust yourself and to listen to what's inside of you. This is so pivotal right now to really understand this information because, as everyone has shared, this is a spiritual war. And spirit for some people is invisible because they can't see it. Some people say they believe in spirit, but if they did, they don't walk with it, right? They walk with the programming. So what we have to understand is this is a spiritual war, and thereafter, like I said, our consciousness and our DNA, you cannot not see that now. But the thing is you got to stop and just pay attention to you. You know everything you need to know right now. If you know something without a book, without the news, without a friend, without the narrative proving you right, who cares? Trust that you know it because your body carries cellular information. You have to understand that your DNA holds memory and all kinds of information. No one taught us that. So you got to understand that you know a lot. Now it's time to pay attention. So the inner voices that you hear, if they're to take you somewhere outside of where you are now, maybe it's time you start to listen to them and even apply 1 or 2 of the ideas and see where it leads you. You have to put your faith and your trust back into you first. And like I said in a post the other day, in Latin, you cannot give what you do not have. You cannot expect anything to be different for yourself unless you're willing to change you first. We all have heard that saying, but are you doing it? So this is not to give you justification, but it's to help people understand, anyone here who feels like, oh my God, like I've never felt like I fit in here. Well, you don't fit in here. And you're not going to fit in when you're listening to something that's false, right? So there was never anything wrong with you, and you don't fit into a square box when you're a circle. You can't do that. You are infinite. You are powerful, and they got us trying to believe that we're inferior and non-powerful. Doesn't fit. And remember, you didn't come here for other people. You all have a soul's contract. You all have a soul's purpose. Being programmed to believe that we're here to please other people, being programmed to believe that everyone goes ahead of us and we put ourselves last is ridiculous. You need to put yourself first. You need to grow and evolve into the spiritual being and the powerful person that you came here to be. You have to evolve and grow and become a greater version of yourself. And this isn't just a one-time deal. It's not a one-off. It's something you consistently do. And anybody who is in your path, no matter whether you meet them or online, you are going to be able to influence, inspire another human being, even if it's just one, by your energy, by your purpose, and by you putting yourself first, maybe for the first time since you were a child, and decided, you know what, I do go first, and then the universe responds, and not have any guilt behind it. So this was just a short bit of reels I just wanted to make for all of you who this may resonate with you, because you inspire me from my messaging. And so many of you are thanking me for basically almost giving you permission to believe in yourself or to realize you are always right. You don't need anyone's permission. You always knew you were right. The only reason why you doubted yourself is because of false programming. Because if it doesn't fit the narrative, if it doesn't go along with the sheep, we must be wrong. We must be the crazy ones. We must be the ones that need, medication. That was purposely done. No, the ones that are like us are the ones that are awake, are the ones that are the wisest, and we are the ones who are thinking. The other ones, God bless their soul, they're either out cold, they're not meant to wake up, but they're very much into the belief system they've been given. And like we heard in the Matrix, they'll defend it no matter what, because it feels natural and normal to them. Everything you honestly need to know resides within yourself. Depending on your level of consciousness, though, the higher you elevate it, the more information you tap into. So that's why I constantly say, raise your level of consciousness, get out of under the 3D frequency fence. You need to unlearn a lot of habitual behaviors, right? Judging, anger, depression, sadness, competition, all those things. They're all like lack, poverty mindset, worried about things all the time, living in fear. All of that keeps us under the frequency fence, and the majority of human beings live there. So to raise your consciousness, you have to be willing to let go of that side of your personality. And you have to be able to trust that there is much, much more for you outside of that heavy, dense weight of lies. So you're never alone. You don't need to worry. You have to trust. And for a little while, it might be hard to trust in something you can't see, but that's where the most powerful parts of everything lie, is in the unseen. In 5D, 6D, 7D, and higher, you can't see that right now. And the only reason why most people can't is because their vibrational frequency is so low. This is why we've been kept in that low place. But what do you think happens as soon as you unplug? Why do you think people have this information? And the ones that are so deeply ingrained in this low, dense information, they're the ones that are so perplexed. How do you know this information? You must be crazy. You don't know what you're talking about because it doesn't fit what I've learned throughout my whole entire life. And they're not willing to look at the fact that everything that they have been taught throughout their whole entire life has never been for the greater good of themselves. It's been for the greater good of the cabal.